Welcome back to the Extra Point. It's the best time of the year, playoff baseball. There's really nothing else like it. I'm Jack. Alongside me is Jake, and we're gonna get into some of our, bracket and break that down a little bit. Obviously, we saw those wild card matchups happen. The Cardinals go down to the Phillies. Mets collapse against Padres, and in the American League side of things. Obviously, the Guardians took down the Rays, and the Mariners were able to take out Toronto. So everything's set up here. What do you have so far coming out of the division series, Jake?
Talk about Walker a little bit. I was 3-4 on a lot of predictions. Thank you very much. Everyone said I was crazy for picking Guardians. They won. Everyone said I was crazy for picking Mariners. They won. Only thing I got wrong was Mets getting embarrassed by the Padres.
No one really expected
Should have
that.
saw it coming. It's the Mets. Happens every year. But DS series is upon us. All four have started so far. Dodgers 1-1 against Padres. I still have Dodgers winning in 4, maybe even 5. Padres could steal another game.
That surprised me yesterday.
That surprised me yesterday, but Padres, they're still a good team.
Yeah, they are.
It's playoff baseball, anything can happen.
They are, true.
Other side of NL, Phillies, Braves. My prediction is still alive. Phillies in 4. I said we're going to split in Atlanta, win both at home. Yesterday's game, that was unacceptable what happened. Acuna got hit. They took 10 minutes to decide what's going to happen. There should be a limit. It's either you're taking them out or you're keeping them in.
But that's also not the reason you lost. The main reason why
It's the reason we lost because Wheeler then lost his entire mojo. He went 10 minutes without
You also
throwing
didn't score a single run the whole game.
You're right, we didn't, but Wheeler wouldn't have gotten shelled for 3. Then who knows what else happens.
But I'm just
It threw Wheeler off through the whole game off. Yeah, we didn't score any runs.
You need to score runs to
You need to score
win.
runs, you're right, but Braves weren't scoring runs, so that happened.
You're not wrong, but again, if you're not scoring any runs,
Regardless,
there's a good chance
that should not be a thing that happens, where they can go on for 10 minutes, we're going to keep him in, we're going to not keep him in. No, that is unacceptable. It's either he's in or he's out. They wasted time.
Not in the playoffs.
They bought time like that, bogus. A lot of that stuff happens. Remember the Cardinals game that happened with Hensley, whatever his last name was. They were oh, is his finger good, is his finger bad? Gave their bullpen 5 more minutes to get warm. Just buying
bullpen
time.
can get as much time as they need if they come in with the players being hurt. That bullpen pitcher can get as much time as they need to come into the game.
That's actually in playoffs.
Yes.
Whatever. AL side of the bracket now. Astros up 1-0 over the Mariners. They're currently winning 3-2, I believe, in the bottom of the 8th. I think they're sweeping. Mariners, yeah, they're still a soccer team. Astros are still my pick from the AL. Then Yankees, Guardians. I do have Yankees winning the series. I don't have them sweeping. I have this going 4 or 5. I feel like Bieber gets a win tomorrow. Maybe McKenzie even gets a win game 3. But I still think Yankees overall win the series.
See, that's where I'm going to disagree. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think it's going to be 4. There's no way Bieber's going to beat Cortez. Cortez is the Yankees' best pitcher. He is one of the most fascinating pitchers to watch because he still is incredible, and he tops out at 95. It's something.
Sounds like you're describing Shane Bieber to me.
Yeah, but the way Nestor he goes for different arm slots. He's like one of the few pitchers where I really feel like he just genuinely, every time he goes out on the bump, you could just tell he's having fun every single time he's out there. There's very few players in baseball where they're just so much fun to watch. Yeah, but Nestor definitely can chill. Anyway, the Yankees are winning. They're definitely beating Bieber. I remember a couple years ago for the wild card series in 2020 or so. In 2020 or so, we knocked around Bieber. Obviously, it's a different team and everything, but most of the same core is still there in New York, and I think we end up getting to him in the Bronx. Houston and Seattle, I think the Mariners end up stealing a game at home, just the home mojos. They're going to be their first home playoff game since 2001. So I think game 3 they might take against the Astros, and the Astros close it out in 4. Padres, Dodgers. I did this the other day too. Yeah. Dodgers, Padres.
There you go.
Padres end up losing to the Dodgers in 4. I mean, the Dodgers they're just such an incredible team. And then I got the Braves eking it out over the Phillies in 5. Last night was very telling. I was leaning more towards Phillies, obviously, going into the series. I thought Atlanta was going to win, but after game 1, I was a little concerned. But now my prediction has changed from 4 to 5.
Sounds like gel. I think you need to go to jelly school.
Why?
I just don't see what you see out of the Braves. It gives them the edge over the series.
I mean, they've literally their lineup could burn you 1 through 9.
Phillies can't.
I mean, I don't expect Brandon Marsh to just go off at any given point. Or you could make the case that every single player on the Braves could could go 4 for 4 every single game. You could easily make that case.
Brandon Marsh and Edmundo Sosa have been very above average hitters for the Phillies. Thank you very much. Braves have they stack lineup. what part of the Phillies lineup isn't stacked? Schwarber's been ice cold to start this playoffs. Gene Segura, Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos. Like, where's the holes? Edmundo Sosa, like I mentioned, Edmundo Sosa, Brandon Marsh have been phenomenal for the Phillies so far. Matt Vierling has been decent. Like,
You just don't have the same star. You don't have the same star power as the Braves.
why not?
I mean, why not? I mean,
Where are we lacking the star power? We both have MVP candidates. We both have all-star players.
you're not MVP. Harper's not an MVP candidate right now.
But who is on the Braves?
I mean, Austin Riley, I would assume.
Look at their numbers, not too far off.
Yeah, but Harper
And
was
Bryce
out for the
Harper,
whole year.
Exactly, and the numbers still not too far off.
Okay. Anyways, I genuinely, and plus the
Who has a home run in this playoff? Who doesn't?
Braves also have the better bullpen.
Sure.
And pitching, you could chalk up to even, and I think your lineup, I think the Braves still have the slight edge.
Back-to-back games with Philly coming up.
And you got
First-
shut out last game.
We did.
You got shut out. I mean,
Braves only scored once yesterday. It was in the sixth inning. Other than that, they were shut out too.
I'm aware, but they still were able to end up winning that game. And you know what? All right, let's move back. So we both have pretty much the same same ALCS anyways. I think I know where your prediction is going to be going with
I don't
this.
think I can go against it. It's been proven year in, year out. Astros own you guys.
But the Astros make the World Series every other year. They were in it last year. And the Yankees kind of are hot right now. Obviously, I know the Astros are too, but the Yankees have the best
You
player.
guys played one game.
No, I'm saying like even going into the playoffs, we were hot. Like we had a really good month of September. We were very hot, and we have the best player in baseball in Aaron Judge. Anthony Rizzo can go yard in any given point. Our lineup is deadly again, 1 through 9, I think.
No, it's not. Astros have a much better lineup from the 9.
I think they have a little bit better of a lineup, but it's nothing
It's very
drastic.
better. Besides Aaron Judge, your guys' lineup falls off.
Okay, what part of the Yankees' order are you concerned about?
I'm concerned about third base play. I'm concerned about catcher play. I'm concerned.
Catcher,
Yes, I'm taking Martin Maldonado over Jose Trevino.
who was an All-Star.
Maldonado's still better.
Who was an All-Star this year?
Sure. You know who else was an All-Star this year? Doesn't matter.
I'm just saying, who was the All-Star this year?
Astros have a much deeper lineup. Not even to debate. Not even.
Third base, obviously, yeah. Bregman's better than Donaldson. Okay.
Second base better.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Left field better.
No, Oswaldo Cabrera's a stud.
You're saying?
Oh, I'm
Cabrera's
sorry.
better than
I
Yohan Alvarez?
completely forgot. I thought he was a right fielder. No, you're right. You're right.
What positions? Aaron Judge, right fielder, center.
Right.
Center fielder. Astros have it.
No. Harrison Bader might be one of the most electric players.
He's better
I've
than
seen
Kyle
in-
Tucker.
Yeah,
No.
100%. He's
No.
a better defender. He's a lot.
Not a better hitter. We're talking about the lineups, Jack. He's not a better hitter. We're talking about lineups here.
I'm talking about overall team here, Jake.
We're talking about lineups. I'm saying how they have a better lineup than you guys. You can bring on defense.
I'm just telling you right now.
So that's left field, center field, second base, third base, arguably shortstop.
And first base were better. And
Not
Aaron.
by much. Anthony Rizzo is not as good as people make him out to be.
No, but he's that kind of guy who's always going to come through in a big
so
spot.
is Yuli Gurriel. He's played like 5 years in Major League Baseball, and he's always that guy. They have a better lineup, John.
I don't know about
No,
that. one.
they do.
I don't know about that one.
You're ridiculous.
Who do you have coming out of the National League?
You know who I have coming out of the National League. Why even answer the question? Why even ask?
You really think the Phillies can take down the?
Listen. If we
Logically, how
we've
do the
played
Phillies take down the
We played the
Dodgers?
Dodgers. I think 6 games this season, 5 games this season. We're 4-1 against them, 4-2 against them. We match up well against them. Granted, it's regular season doesn't really matter. It's whoever's hot. If we can go in, beat the defending champions, back-to-back games at home, go to the Dodgers. Come on.
That's a big if.
7-game series.
That's a big
Come
if.
on. I'm done. It's over.
You have what? Phil's winning against the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Yankees are beating the Braves in 6, and that's going to wrap it up for this segment of the Extra Point. Please stay tuned for more.
Welcome back to the Extra Point. Week 5 of NFL action is completed. Fantasy football, very eventful this week. Guys, I don't know if you guys won, I don't know if you guys lost, but who were your booms this week in fantasy football?
So my boom this past 2 weeks now, Damian Pierce, he had 30.9 points week 4, and week 5 he only had 20.3. Would have had a lot more because my league has an incentive to get 100 yards. He finished with 99.
Oh,
Yeah,
just missed
you
it.
get like a
Just
5-point
missed
boost
it.
with 99 or with 100 yards. So I was pretty upset. I was just like, oh damn. But still scored a touchdown. He still had a great week, 20.3. I'll take that every time from him. Him with McCaffrey is a nice duo for me to have.
Oh, for sure. Adam, how about you?
So I had one guy this week. I picked him up before week 5. I unfortunately kept him on my bench because he wasn't really projected to get very many points. I think he was only projected to get 4 points. That guy is I guess you call him a tight end in fantasy football, even though not really. I don't know if it's actually true. That would be Taysom Hill. 34.3 points he had. Very disappointed I left him on the bench. He had 9 carries for $112 yards, 3 touchdowns, and also had a passing touchdown. So 4 total touchdowns. It was one of another tight end who I did end up starting, Travis Kelce, who also had 4 touchdowns.
Wow, your tight ends, you got deep tight ends. I mean, I feel like Taysom
I think that's I think I would say that's on the extremities though.
Oh,
looking
for
at
sure,
looking
for
at
sure.
Taysom.
You gotta say Hill's like the definition of a flex person, though.
Oh,
If you
100%.
think of a flex position,
If you think of
you think of Taysom
He can
Hill.
play anywhere on the field at any given time. Like,
Yeah.
he can fit into anywhere in the offense.
can
It's
play
really
head coach.
insane.
Yeah, I'm convinced he might be able to punt. He plays
Yeah.
special teams. He can
Yeah.
tackle. Maybe put him at linebacker. For me, I made the mistake, and I've done this so many times this year, and I don't know why I keep making the same mistake. I benched Gabe Davis, and he had 3 receptions. Now, you hear 3 receptions, you think, he didn't get that many targets. That's an game. He had 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 32 total points. So I think I learned my lesson.
Yeah, you might have to
start
start him.
Gabe Davis no matter what. Definitely got to start him in your flex. Maybe wide receiver 2, depending on your league.
Yeah,
but
I think that's where I'm at with a certain guy in one of my leagues, Mr. Brees Hall, who had 100 rushing yards, 100 receiving yards, 97 rushing yards with a touchdown. He had 2 great explosive plays to set the Jets up at the 1-yard line, and then they, of course, give it to Michael Carter to get in the end zone. So I can't count those extra touchdown points with him, but I'll still take the 27 points from him.
That's the odds. Another boom I had was Josh Jacobs from the Raiders. Now, everyone kind of counted him out in the beginning of the season. He played preseason games and played long in preseason games. And normally a team starting running back doesn't do that. But again, the Raiders lost to the Chiefs this week, but he had 193 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty
especially
good.
for his draft position. I mean, most drafts
He was falling.
he was like 5th, 6th round. So if you picked him up, I'm lucky I did.
Yeah.
I was very happy. But we had our booms. Who busted this week, though? Who were your busts?
So I picked up a new defense in the Miami Dolphins defense. Let's just say I would have been better off playing without a defense.
Oh, no.
That would have got me 0 points. Dolphins defense ended up getting me -1 point. They gave up 40 points against a New York Jets offense that all of a sudden for a week now looked like the best offense in football for like the entire second half, which is, if you know the Jets offense, is not what you see out of the Jets offense usually very often. It's the first game they scored a touchdown this year at MetLife Stadium, and then all of a sudden they go into the 4th quarter.
No, second game. Second game. They scored one week 1.
Oh, yeah, they scored one week 1 that was essentially meaningless.
Yeah.
Because they were already down 24-3 with a minute left. And then they go in and score 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter.
Yep. Yep. My bust of the week, I started him. I really thought he was going to get his first touchdown of the year this week, but he did not, was Mr. Elijah Moore. Definitely let me down. Only 2.1 points. He had I think 2 receptions for 20 yards.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just
That's not what you want.
especially with how great the Jets offense did, but it was just all running touchdowns. Everything was ground game. I'm like, oh.
Especially him, like when Zach Wilson plays that offense, he targets more
Targets
a lot.
more a lot because he gets open, and they just ran the ball. That's all they did.
Yeah, but it worked for him.
It worked. They got the
won.
win. They
I mean,
blew
you
out
got,
the
you
Dolphins.
got Brees Hall, so.
They took
Yeah.
the dub. So for me, I'm a Cowboys fan, as you may know. Tight end Dalton Schultz, who, he wasn't like a top 3 tight end coming into the season, but, a lot of people took him in that mid-tier of tight ends.
Yeah.
Hawkinson,
Ertz.
Schultz, Ertz. Like, he was like the mid-tier guy. So I started him in one of my leagues. Again, I understood he's coming off an injury, right? But he was playing, and he's scored, 8+ points, and that's pretty decent for a tight end almost every single game this year. Had 0 points. Only had 1 target against the Rams.
Wow.
So, when you're starting someone that gets 0 points, I mean, it's not like the Dolphins defense like you did, Adam. I didn't lose any points, luckily, but
You didn't gain
0
anything.
points for a starting tight end, that hurts. That really
Yeah,
hurts.
that does hurt.
That hurts. Any other busts you guys have?
Both of them. All my receivers this week really kind of fell short. I mean, Michael Pittman and Mike Evans, I expect more than 10 and 12 points from them. Just fell flat. I mean, that Bucs offense does not look great, and now it is the Colts. So I'm pretty worried about both of those guys right now, but we're still gonna ride it out and see how they go.
Just gotta keep riding.
My -1 defense is it's really put me into another level of misery. It's on another level of bust compared to everything else.
Yeah. So listen, let's get these busts out of our head.
Let's
learn from it.
Let's send him going.
Let's watch
somewhere
the
else.
tape, figure it out for next week.
There we go.
But hey, listen, new week now. You don't have to worry about that anymore. So this week, who are you guys starting?
I'm going to have to start against the really surprisingly bad Chargers defense, Courtland Sutton, who's been getting better each week. Russell Wilson hasn't looked great, but the only reason why the Broncos are in so many games is because of Courtland Sutton. He's the number one target. If you're debating him between anybody else, 100% go with Sutton because that Chargers defense has not looked good this year.
No, absolutely not.
Don't know if this is going to be a super serious start, but I'm going to take a guy. I fortunately went to the same high school as this first-round pick this year in the NFL draft. He started his first game last week, and that is Kenny Pickett, baby. I've seen him play. He got that dog in him, all right? I don't care if they play in the Bucs defense. He's definitely showed a lot of potential in those first couple games. Even in a blowout that was kind of lopsided against the Bills, he played hard till the end and ended up with 327 yards last week. I mean, I think that maybe gets in the end zone a couple times, gets you some points out of it.
Yeah, and I know the one thing of Pickett, too, is you can't think of, like, a harder start for a starting quarterback. You play against the Bills,
absolutely.
best team in the league, one of the best defenses in the league. This week they're going against the Buccaneers.
They are going against the Bucs.
That's a learning curve, but
That-
I hope he
it's
does
learning.
well, though.
Oh,
I
yeah,
hope he
that's
does well.
what
I
it's
like
about.
Pickett. I like Pickett. For me, this is a guy I really learned about this week. Ravens wide receiver Devin Duvernay. He's playing the New York Giants this week, and he had a total 8 touches last week, got 12.8 points, which is all right. But the Ravens, if you really watch Ravens games, they use him like Deebo Samuel. So if you need someone in your flex that's gonna get touches, I think you gotta start Duvernay because he gets hands-offs, he gets passes. You gotta start him this week. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, he's just surprised me this year. I didn't expect. I figured Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews were kind of going to get most of the fantasy love this year, but Duvernay surprised me.
Yeah, no,
I think
absolutely.
that's a name that's come out as an obvious shocker.
Yeah,
to a lot
Sure.
of
I mean,
people.
going into the season, I didn't even know who this guy was.
Yeah,
I only
really
knew him
didn't either.
I only knew him because he was their punt and kick returner.
Yeah, that's right. That's
That's where he gets it from. That's really good open
I just
space.
really thought he was just going to be their punt and kick returner for most of the year, like he usually is.
For sure. So we got our starts. Now again, we're watching the film. We're learning. Who are we gonna sit this week?
It really pains me to say, just because it's such an incredible story, I'm gonna have to sit Brian Robinson. I want to wait for him to get the majority of reps over Antonio Gibson. I know that Ron Rivera doesn't like Gibson as much, but he only got 22 yards last week off 9 attempts. That's just not what you want. I mean, that's like almost 1 yard. That's
That's not
yards
good.
a
That's not
carry.
good
It's
for
almost
starting
like 2 yards
back.
a carry. That's really bad. Like, he can't. You have to. I need to see him at least get the majority of attempts, and I'd want to see him get at least like 50 or something yards before I feel comfortable putting him in.
For sure, Adam.
I think my sit this week has to be Jets receiver Elijah Moore. I know you already mentioned him
Yeah.
kind of as your bust. I think he's really turned into the third wide receiver in that option in the offense, that behind Corey Davis, Garrett Wilson. And then we finally saw that run game last week. Michael Carter, Breece Hall really got to finally showcase itself, and you realize Jets might actually have a very solid run game with 2 very good running backs, one coming from my favorite team, North Carolina. They also get to play playing against a good Packers defense. We've definitely seen some solid stuff out of this season. So I think overall it's going to be a tough test for a guy that's not more than probably maybe now 4th, 5th option on his team.
For sure. I'm going to make it nice and quick. Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams. I like him. He's on my teams, but he's going against the Broncos. And I get the Broncos offense struggling, but that Broncos defense is 7th ranked in fantasy right now. I don't think that's a favorable matchup. So it pains me to do it. I really like him, but I'm going to have to bench him. But that's going to conclude this segment of Fantasy Factor. Stay tuned to more on The Extra Point.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Extra Point. I'm Ben DeVito. I'm joined by Jake and Tom. And the NBA season is quickly approaching. We are less than a week away from the greatest sports season being back, and that is the NBA.
I started 5 weeks ago. That's the greatest sports season.
That's, it's a debate for another time.
This is America.
But anyway, NBA is a world sport. But anyway, we're gonna stick to basketball today. We're gonna stick to basketball, and as the season approaches, this was a pretty crazy offseason to say the least. A lot happened. What was the craziest thing you guys saw in the offseason?
Okay, so personally, I thought some of the biggest thing that I thought was big was Patrick Beverley going to the Lakers. I mean, with the him and Russell Westbrook having like some beef in the past, like I'm just curious about how they're going to be as teammates. Like,
you guys see yesterday the preseason game, Russ was part of none of the huddles.
Yeah, I
did notice that. Yeah.
He has a point. He's like, listen, you guys have tried to trade me all summer. I'm just here to not get fined.
Yeah,
He's just
honestly.
doing his job.
And, like Tom was saying, Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook, they've had beef in the past.
Yeah.
And when he was traded, I mean, Tom said it, I was surprised too. Like, who would have thought those two would ever be teammates? And apparently they claim that they're good. They're obviously
Well, yesterday, like I said,
They're not gonna be
Bev
good.
tried to get a huddle. LeBron joined in, AD joined in, Rondo joined in. Russ was over there. not
But
joining in.
yeah, so that was definitely a crazy aspect.
I think the biggest one was the Minnesota Timberwolves absolutely just mortgaging their entire future for Rudy Gobert. I like Rudy Gobert. People talk down on him a lot. He's a fantastic defender. But to give up Malik Beasley, Pat Beverly, Walker Kessler, Jared Vanderbilt, Leonardo Bombaro, 5 first-round picks. I don't think there's any player besides obviously the upper echelon superstars that I give up that much for.
No, I completely agree.
That is 10 players you are giving up for Rudy Gobert.
No, I completely agree with you. I think it's absolutely atrocious. And don't get me wrong, Rudy Gobert's a fine player. He's great. He's one of the better defenders, if not the best defender in the NBA. So for Minnesota to do that is great because Karl-Anthony Towns isn't the greatest defensive
Terrible
center.
defender.
He's not the greatest defensive center.
Terrible.
So they need
Real estate.
yeah, exactly. So they need that guy that will really be a great defender, especially because now, Beverly's gone, their best defender. So I just don't think that was smart on their aspect, especially giving up 5 and 5. It's just.
I get they want to run now and they have a fantastic starting lineup, but the depth ain't there anymore.
No, I completely agree with you. And I think the craziest thing that happened, and there was 2 things for me that happened that were really crazy in this offseason, and neither of them are signings. One, Chet Holmgren, done for the season.
I saw some conspiracies about this. Listen. I ain't no conspiracy theorist, but I saw a thing. It was like with Chet Holmgren's injury shouldn't necessarily be a full season injury, but they're keeping him out the full season to lose more games to get Victor Wembanyama.
And that's what I was going to touch on. That's what I was going to touch on.
Imagine a starting lineup of Victor Wembanyama 7'4", Alexis Pokusevski 7 foot, Chet Holmgren 7 foot.
Yeah. No. Yeah, so that was the other thing I was going to comment on, as Adam Silver had to make a statement, which commissioners really don't have to make statements on tanking as much. It's a kind of like a unspoken thing where it's like it's frowned upon and don't make it obvious, but like
They punish you for tanking.
No, I know, but if it's obvious.
Free Sam Hinkie.
Yeah. So Adam Silver had to make a comment on Victor Wembanyama, as he is honestly one of, if not the greatest basketball prospect the sport has ever seen.
In recent history. Richard Jefferson said something the other day where he's saying if it was a draft going into it, LeBron and Victor Wembanyama, they're taking Victor Wembanyama. That's just preposterous.
I mean, I agree with that statement. That is preposterous.
That's just preposterous.
But he's one of, if not the best prospects that the sport of basketball has ever seen. He is a demigod. He is a unicorn.
2K player.
He's a 2K generated player that you make and put the stats up on every aspect. This man is 7'4" and can handle the ball like a guard and dunk like Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
He is just something that the world of basketball has never seen before.
It's all about these European players, man.
These European
They always
players,
come over and they're always ready to go.
and he went up against the United States' best prospect in Scoot Henderson.
Yeah.
Dominated.
Yeah.
Absolutely dominated. And so Adam Silver having to make a comment on tanking for Victor Wembanyama is just absurd. But did you guys have anything else in the offseason that you guys were surprised about? Before we shift gears a little bit?
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, but everyone kind of expecting him to go. Knicks fumbled the bag on that.
Yeah, they did.
He was a New York
disappointed
Knick,
about that.
and James Dolan was like,
I don't know.
they could have given up what the Cavs did, and they didn't. Listen, L plus ratio, how the Knicks are.
Yeah, that's just how they are.
Cole Anthony.
So like you said before, the Donovan Mitchell thing, I was like disappointed that he didn't go to the Knicks, but I'm glad the Knicks got Jalen Brunson.
Yeah. It's a
that's
great
something.
signing. It's a great signing for sure. So let's shift gears a little bit. You know, we talk about last season, or not last season, but before the season aspects. So let's talk about the actual season. What are your way too early predictions for the NBA season? Because I know I have some bold ones.
Okay, so I got one. So I don't know if you recall it last season. You were talking about how Ben Simmons was acting like a baby for refusing to play.
Because he was.
Yeah,
He was.
and he was. And since he's back now, he played during the preseason. I'm expecting him to be most improved player of the
I
year.
didn't mean to yawn there. I just want to hear Ben Simmons. I just get tired. There's a little saying, not really. Summer League Ben Simmons is the greatest player of all time. Don't get your hopes up in the preseason as well. Summer League Ben Simmons was incredible, and then obviously we all know Ben Simmons. I'm not worried
I'm not
at
buying-
all
I'm
in
not
the
buying it.
slightest about Benjamin David Simmons. Not worried in this. Andre Drummond is developing a three-point shot before Ben Simmons. That's all you have to know. Andre Drummond, the worst free throw shooter of all time, is developing a three-point shot before Ben Simmons.
You have anything else, Tom?
Not really. I don't think so.
I got a couple I could fire off.
Oh,
We're not-
I got a ton.
We're not going to go through all of them unless we have to. Bones Highland, Sixth Man of the Year. Love me some Bones Highland. Tyrese Maxey, most improved. Little Sixers when coming out of the East.
Okay.
I feel like.
I felt like these were all a little skewed towards Sixers
And then I
players.
have one more.
Is it Joel Embiid
It's
MVP?
Joel Embiid.
Yeah, so you think they're just going to sweep the awards?
I'm not going to sweep the awards because Doc Rivers doesn't deserve Coach of the Year.
He never does. He never does.
Never does. Should have got Jay Wright. Still heard about that. I mean, we could sweep him. Matisse Thybulle, Defensive Player of the Year. Sixth Man of the Year going to Shake Milton. No bias.
I sense a tad bit of bias, but that's okay because I have a ton of bias coming in as well. But it's crazy because I only have one sort of bias coming into this. So for one, I think the Cavs are going to be a top 4 team in the East. I think
Not
Donovan
buying
Mitchell.
it.
I
Not
think
buying
Donovan
it.
Mitchell is going to make such an impact. Him and Darius Garland are going to be a fantastic duo.
What team are they replacing in the top 4?
The Bucks.
No.
Yes.
Bucks are the favorite to win the final.
Yeah.
I just don't. If you're not improving, you're getting worse, and that's what the Bucks have done the past season and a half. Ever since they won the title, what have they done to their team? They've kept it the same as teams like the Cavs, as teams like the Heat, as teams like the Sixers are all making improvements to their team, right? What have the Bucks done? They've done absolutely nothing to improve this team. So I just don't think, and that's another one of my bold predictions. I don't think that the Bucks are going to be as good as people think they're going to be.
That's it.
I think, if, like I just said, if you're not improving, you're getting worse. And they have not improved. Therefore, by that logic, they're getting worse.
Okay.
I mean,
Another thing.
I
Go
do
for it.
want to add that recently in the preseason game, the Nets are playing the Bucks. Ben Simmons, his defense was just phenomenal. He got Giannis to a shooting percentage of around like 25% in that game. Like that just says something about Ben Simmons, right?
I mean, it says something about Ben Simmons, but it doesn't make him a great player because Ben Simmons is a baby, and I stand
Big
by
old
that.
baby.
I will stand by that for the rest of my life. But another one I have is Ja Morant winning MVP. He's coming off a most improved season, which the fact that he won most improved is crazy in itself, considering he went from
Kevin Durant
averaging.
isn't even the best point guard in the league. He's not even the second best point guard in the league.
Okay. Oh wow, this is
Hey.
going to get an argument. Who's 1 and 2? Obviously Curry's
Curry
1.
and Luka.
You're considering Luka a point guard?
According to the depth chart, yes. According to the assist, yes. According to the way he takes the ball up the court, yes.
Okay, granted. Granted. I still think Ja Morant is going to have a historic season of monumentous proportions. I mean, Ja Morant is just has been on a steady incline the
Yes.
past couple seasons of his career. He's literally coming off a 28-point per game season, and I think he has so much more to improve in his game. So I just think that Ja Morant is going to win MVP.
I just feel like
I'm going to
Luka is-
stamp it here so when it's I'm going to stamp it here so when it's I don't know June when they announce it, I'm going to post this on my Instagram. I'm stamping it now when Ja Morant wins MVP because he is going to win MVP. And the last thing, obviously, I got to get a little bit biased in here. The Miami Heat were 1 win away from the NBA Finals, 1 shot away. They were 1 missed bank shot away from being in the NBA Finals by Jimmy Butler. So, I know I just said if you're not improving, you're getting worse. the Heat didn't do anything really of significance in the offseason. They re-signed UD, pretty much our player coach, exactly. But we're coming off with the same team, and I think we lost PJ Tucker, but we replaced him with Jovic. Jovic is going to do a great job with this team. I think he's going to do a fantastic job as progressing. So the Heat are going to make the finals one more time, and we're going to win it this time. We're not just going to make it, we're going to win it. So that's my bold take. That's going to do it for this episode of The Extra Point. Stay tuned for next week.